Welcome to Blue Tinted Glasses, the home of Leicester City talk on YouTube. Fan debates, live watch-alongs, post-match reactions, and all the Foxes banter you could ask for. Subscribe now and see the game through Blue Tinted Glasses.
Well then, Mahrez has made something of that. It's Mahrez! 2-0 to Leicester City!
Next to it, Anthony Knockout finds Wood should score! Wood West Knockout, yes!
Here comes Leicester again with Heskey and Ibbett! Oh, this is incredible!
Got Jamie Vardy with him. Jamie Vardy sets off.
Jamie Vardy!
Blue Tinted Glasses, the home of Leicester City talk on YouTube.
Good evening and welcome back to Blue Tinted Glasses for Wednesday night's Foxes Den, and we have a fun one today. This is one which we will look back on literally in a year's time, and we're either going to look like idiots or we're going to look like geniuses. So yeah, stay tuned throughout the course of this stream because we've got loads of predictions coming your way. Take the piss out of us if you want in the comments. I've got a couple things to bring up with Ethan. I'm like, hold on, Ethan, because obviously I've seen all of the predictions. Jack's going to be joining us soon as well. We've got his predictions. But before we get into it all, Anil, what's going on, mate? How are you?
Yep, getting excited for the new season now. Not long to go. All good, thank you, Locks.
Good. Yeah. What is it? 10 days now. 9 days. 10 days.
That's crazy.
Like that. Ridiculous. Ethan, all the way from cold South Africa. How's it going, mate?
Yeah, no, I'm doing all right. As you said, really cold, so I'm just trying to keep warm. I'm really excited. The dreaded Fiorentina game is soon, so that'll be an exciting watch. And then, like you said, the season's starting, so can't wait for it to get underway.
Now, before we get into our predictions that I've asked the lads to put together and send over to me, which we'll go through, I want to ask, because I think when we were doing our predictions, the points deduction, the PSR stuff is obviously something that we take into account. So here's the first prediction of the night. Anil, are we definitely going to get a points deduction, do you think?
Do you know what? That's a hard one to say, Locks, because I believe that Sheffield United had already been given their points deduction by this time last season, and there still is no kind of take on it. But at the same time, we haven't made any transfers other than a free transfer, but even that must have got ratified. You know what, Locks? Who knows? Because last season we were convinced we were going to get one, then we didn't get any. So God knows. I don't know. I am expecting one, to be honest with you. And just to answer your question, my predictions are based on the fact that I'm expecting a points deduction of some kind. But do you know what, Locks? This is how crazy it is. If we got minus 20 points, I wouldn't be surprised. If we got no points deduction, I wouldn't be surprised. Flip of a coin.
Yeah, I think as well, just to add context to the Sheffield United thing that you mentioned, I think they found out like a year before when they were in the Premier League that they were going to be getting one. So, because obviously we now know that they've changed the rules so that deductions can be handed up and down the leagues, whereas at that point they couldn't do that. So there was just a points deduction waiting for them for when they did come down, obviously. But yeah, I agree with you. Same with the transfer embargo, Anil. I'm assuming there just isn't a transfer embargo because again, you would have thought that's not to say we won't get one. We could get one in November, which means we can't sign anybody in January, right? That could happen. They gave us one in March before, even though the window was shut, so that could still happen. But Ethan, go on, Anil, we're going to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Doc does say a lot. He says that if you go on the EFL site, there is an active embargo on Sheffield Wednesday, and I think there's a limited embargo on Hull, and it's literally written in text. But Leicester City, good old tumbleweed. Just like the club itself, no one knows.
Yeah. Well, Ethan, Anil said there that he's factored a points deduction into his predictions. I've done the same. Look, from me seeing your predictions, I think you've done the same as well, right?
Yeah. So obviously I've expected, say, 9 to 15 point deduction. But even without it, I could see us finishing, where I've predicted. Depending on how the season goes. But, we'll see. Obviously, it's great that we haven't heard anything about a points deduction, and it's bad at the same time. we're kind of just left in limbo about this. So it's interesting. It's never a boring time being a Leicester City fan. I will expect us, I think, before the first international break to know whether we get a points deduction or not. And then I also expect us to get probably a transfer embargo if they do have that planned in January only.
Yeah, totally. Even to you, Clibber, as well, even to Fox Fanatics, Foss Hub, Wolf, a couple of Leeds fans as well. Buzz, hello to you, mate. Hope you're doing well. Scott, James, everybody, all the regulars are here. Big shout out. Make sure to hit the like button, guys. Make sure to hit subscribe. Right. I'm going to start this slightly different than what I had planned. So I am going to start with the bottom of the championship. The reason for that is because Jack's not here yet. I want to talk about the better stuff when Jack's here. So we'll start with, I asked the guys, who is getting relegated from the championship this season? Does anybody have Leicester, maybe? I don't know. By the way, everybody in the chat, get your predictions in the comment section as well. Let's have a look at who everybody decided or who everybody predicted would go down this season. So I've gone for Oxford, Charlton, and Sheffield Wednesday. Anil has gone for Preston, Charlton, and Sheffield Wednesday. Jack has gone for Oxford, Charlton, and Sheffield Wednesday, same as me. And Ethan has gone for Oxford, Portsmouth, and Sheffield Wednesday. So, Anil, let me come to you first, mate. Everybody has Sheffield Wednesday. I don't think that's a surprise, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, look at them. They've got like 11 players left or something like that, and utter shambles. And if you've been reading the latest news as well, it looks like... Do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised, Locks, if, as crazy as this sounds, the game doesn't go ahead, but we just get given the points. Do you remember years ago when Middlesbrough, they forfeited the match and it ended up costing them going down in the end, but they got -3 points because they're going to be like, we've only got like, they'll just have a little audition outside the ground. Who wants to play against Leicester today? So yeah, I think for that reason, and they're going to get massive deductions and they're not going to be able to bring in transfers. So, and their amazing manager's gone. So they're doomed.
Yeah, I mean, just before I go to Ethan and Anil, you are the only one of us who doesn't have Oxford in there as well. Now, I think Oxford were one of the favourites to go down last year. Of course, they stayed up. They had Ben Nelson as well at the club last year. They have lost Ben Nelson. But, I mean, it's always a difficult one with this because, I don't think any of us have great knowledge on any of these clubs other than probably Sheffield Wednesday because they're in the media and stuff like that at the moment. But... no Oxford and Neil? You think they'll have enough to stay up?
Well, funnily enough, I was going to put Oxford, but I thought I know everyone else is going to pick Oxford, so I want to be a bit different. But what I will say is people say Ben Nelson, but Ben Nelson was injured like 3/4 of the season for them.
That's true.
So he wasn't integral to them staying up. It was a few other players they had that they brought in on loan and some shrewd signings. And I think because of that, they still have another chance. And the reason I've gone for Preston, which is a bit sad actually, because I've got a bit of a soft spot for Preston, not only because we won the league there, but they normally the team that I use for like the FM playthroughs and stuff like that in that division. But Preston, they had a really poor end of the season last season. And I think they're just one of those clubs that they've always been sort of mid-table, but Stoke were a bit like this as well in the Premier League. Do you remember they're like ninth, and it's like if you never put any investment in, they just have a sort of blowout. And I think that's what's going to happen. Well, it might happen, but Championship is very unpredictable. So I think it could happen. But yeah, they were in trouble on the last game of last season, but they did stay up because the results went for them. But I've looked at their transfer activity. I'm not that impressed. Whereas I think Oxford, they scrapped really well last season and stayed up. And that's why, look, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they'll be mid-table or something like that, but I think that they could surprise a few. But we'll see.
Yeah. I was going to say, I remember 2 years ago, right, when we won the championship, Preston, for the first 3 months, were right up there. They were outperforming their XG massively. And everyone said, that you can't outperform your XG for this long. It's not sustainable. It will run out. And of course it did. Yes, that's true as well. Hull. Also, I saw somebody said Derby. I didn't even think of Derby, to be fair. There's another club there. That...
I think Ethan's Portsmouth pick is a good one as well. There was someone I'm considering as well. I think, maybe what's more interesting, look, is, okay, here's the 3, but there isn't like a relegation playoffs. But if you had to add like another 3 teams to the mix, who would they be?
Yeah. Well, Derby's definitely one of them. I think they'll be right down there. Hull, of course, if they are in the mud. So, I mean, Ethan, let me come to you, mate. Oxford, Portsmouth, and Sheffield Wednesday. Again, we don't need to talk about Sheffield Wednesday too much. We all know. I mean, there's rumours today that the players might even go on strike and not play the opening game, which I imagine that means we get 3 points, which is a nice start to the season. But Ethan, talk to me about your other picks, mate. You've gone Portsmouth.
Yeah, I don't know. Portsmouth, they're not the type of team that's going to really be comfortable the whole of the season, right? They're always going to be having scrappy games, close games. So they're going to find themselves near the middle to bottom part of the table, right? I think they don't have the fortune in some of those games, and they could easily find themselves in the bottom three. And then it's a mental battle, to fight against teams that are doing way better than you. So I think they're just going to slip into that bottom three. They might also push up. It's a weird one. The championship is very weird. You get so many games and so many close results, so it can go both ways, but I think they're going to go down. I think they were in League One before, they came up, they've been steady, but I think this is a very competitive championship season, and they might just end up slipping back down again.
I mean, I've gone for Charlton just because I don't think they have enough, and their manager, oh my god, I mean, Nathan Jones is one of the most unbearable people I have ever seen in anywhere. He's this guy, man. I swear to God, like, I don't know if you guys saw it as well during the playoffs. Like, he would do this weird thing where he would wait for the camera to be on him before he did something. So, like, at the end, the final whistle went, and he was kind of like stood still. Yeah. He was stood still, and then as soon as he noticed the camera was on him, he dived to the ground on his knees, praying to the skies. I'm like, oh my god,
that's what we're thinking of him, isn't it? And it was like that in the Premier League, and it was all that. I mean, look, to be fair though, I mean, Charlton were not favourites to get up through the playoffs, but it's a bit like the Premier League, isn't it? It's like the team that gets to the Premier League by the playoffs is the automatic favourite to go down, and Charlton came up through the playoffs, so they're the automatic favourite to go down, and they're lucky that they're not the biggest favourite to go down, just because it's another team that's absolutely, in free fall right now. So yeah, it'd be very tough for them to stay up. But look at it, Oxford were in that position last season, and they did stay up fairly comfortably in the end. So you never know, but yeah, I'm not really seeing it myself.
Jack's gone for the same as me. So anyway, there's the first load of predictions locked in. So hello to future us watching this back with pain and sorrow. Right, we're going to move on. Well, actually, no, let me bring up some of the comments that people have put in here. So I've got, obviously, the obvious one, Wednesday. Fox and Attics reckons Charlton, Hull, and Sheffield Wednesday. Clibbo is saying Hull and Charlton. So 2 there with Hull. Charlton are better than Oxford, in my opinion, says Michael. Derby, says Ragman. Is there any more here? Any different ones? Another one for Hull. Sheepshaggers will be okay. I'm guessing he's talking about Derby. He could be talking about Derby or Wrexham, to be honest. No, I think he's talking about Derby. To be fair, Pompey did all right towards the end of last season. Yeah, we'll have to see. Right, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the next load of predictions, and this is the big one, the title, the top 2, the automatic promotion spots. These guys were boring. I switched it up a little bit, but these guys were boring. Anyway, top 2. So I've gone for Sheffield United to win the league and Ipswich in second. And then Anil, Jack, and Ethan all went for Ipswich as champions and Southampton as runners-up, promoted in second place. I'll just quickly say, so the reason I've gone for Sheffield United is I just think that I think Ipswich's squad probably is better because they've just come down from the Premier League. They've managed to keep hold of majority of their players. They still could lose 1 or 2. I understand that with Ipswich, but I just think Sheffield United, I mean, it was painful what happened to them last season. And you look at Leeds United, what happened to them a year before. They lost the playoff final. Heartbreak. They came back stronger with the same manager, and they did it. Now, I think it was a little bit of a risk to sack Chris Wilder, even though I don't like him, just because this man got you 90 plus points, right? If you go again with the same manager, maybe a couple of additions, you're probably going to do 90 points again. But I think Ruben Sells has a much higher ceiling, and I think it probably will end up being a good appointment for them, playing a bit more of attractive football, more exciting football. So I think they're going to come back with a vengeance. They're going to win the league, and of course, I've got Ipswich in second. I would be extremely surprised if they didn't finish top 2. Let me come to you first, Anil, mate. Ipswich and Southampton, the boring choice because everybody's picking it, but probably the one that makes the most sense.
Yeah, firstly, I want to respond to your hipster's choice of Sheffield United finishing top. Absolute hipster's choice that is. If you look at the underlying data, they were pretty lucky to get as many points as they were. If you ask their own fans, they didn't play well for a long time, and it was good that they were winning, but they were getting away with murder every week. And I think, yeah, they did choke, but if you look at it, I think it's a bit like how Forest missed out on Europe in the Premier League. But if you looked at their underlying data, they were like getting so fluky, like they were winning games 3-0 and it barely made 2 shots on target kind of thing. So, you know, maybe you're right. I mean, people have been talking here about Gustavo Harmer, who is obviously a top player, and if they keep him, they've got a chance, but I'm not sure about that. But yeah, obviously Ipswich and Saints, they're the boring ones. You know, we'll just throw a bit of a spanner in the works. If Leicester had, let's say, an 8-point deduction, don't think we could win the title, but we can talk about when we talk about our second place. That could happen there. But I think Ipswich, they've got the strongest squad. And I think a lot depends as well on who they sign. But if they do sign Hayden Hackney, who we're going to come to in a moment, whilst I don't think it's massive value for money, I think that's a big upgrade on Sam Morsey. And if they have Leif Davis, a player like that, they've got Sammy Schmodix, they've got George Hurst, we know can score at this level. They've got great wingers in Clark and Philogene. They've got a deep squad. If they are short in January, they'll go and get some loan signings like they did last year. And they've got the best manager. I mean, just put that all together and it's hard not to see them blowing the championship away, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think that's why most of us have got them as a shoo-in to do well.
Over to you, Ethan, mate. So again, you've done the same. You've gone Ipswich and Southampton, mate. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so my whole philosophy, right, is continuity. So Ipswich obviously sticking with McKenna, did really well with them in the championship. You know, the last time we were there, you know, decent in the Premier League, made them competitive. They were just unfortunate to, you know, not have the quality to compete. Back in the championship now, still with McKenna. I feel like the squad is really close. You know, you have championship prodigies like Philogene, Jack Clark, Leif Davis, Schmodix. You know, so it's a really good championship squad, right? And they're adding to it. So, you know, they're like by far and clear the clear favorites. Southampton in second. Southampton are cheeky buggers, right? Because they'll start really slow, right? They'll pick up a few draws, lose, but then by October, November, entering the festive period, they'll be on a 15-game unbeaten run somehow, right? So I can see them doing really well, especially under Will Still. I think their preseason has been underwhelming, so maybe a lot of people are a bit surprised to see them being so highly rated. But now they have really good, promising talents. You know, I really like the look of Shea Charles in the championship, Tyler Dibbling. You know, so they're keeping a hold of these really really promising players. That Will Still, you know, he's a good up and coming manager himself. So I think they'll do well. And yeah, I think it'll be close between them. They'll both have the ability to go above 90 points this season.
What do you make to this comment here, Neil? How is Ipswich squad better than Leicester's? We both have lost our main strikers and we finished above them last season. Well, we finished above them 2 seasons on the bounce.
It's a great comment. I think he's right. But I think the difference is that we're going to have the points deduction. We finished 3 points above them last season, 1 point a season before. But if we're on minus 8 points compared to Ipswich, then it doesn't matter if we've got a better squad. We're not that much better than them, I don't think. I mean, well, let's put it out there, right? So let's say that we get let's just say for argument's sake, we get a minus 8 point deduction. Because right now it's uncertain. But if we had minus 8 points, do we think we can really win the title even if we have a better squad? Because I don't
think so.
I think top 2 could be possible. I think it is quite interesting what Ethan said about Southampton. I do think so far, though, I mean, I'm surprised that Tyler Dibbling hasn't gone, to be honest with you. Do you know what? When they turned up at the King Power and we were in such wretched form, I thought they were going to beat us and we slapped them pretty convincingly. And I was like, Tyler Dibbling is like in Harry Winks' pocket. And that's a bit embarrassing when you're in that pocket, right? Very disappointed in him. But I have to say that other games that I saw him, he was very impressive. So if they keep him, that's an X factor they've got. A bit of he's really highly rated, like, not quite Monga rated, but pretty nearly up there. Like been linked with 50-60 million pound move. If he goes, it's a bit different. But yeah, I mean, their squad really was poor last season. You got to remember, but Ipswich got 10 more points than them. We got 13 more points than them. So that shows that their squad kind of does suck. So maybe we are being a bit, just buying into the fact that they can get second, because they haven't really proven that they're good enough to do that, really.
Yeah, I just think we're all kind of banking that will do good things, right? Which it might not happen. You just don't know. You honestly don't know. It is kind of an unknown. You've seen what he's done in Europe, in other countries, and he's done a good job there. But I don't think he's not done miracles abroad, right? I think some people act like because he's got this thing about him, Will Still, the Football Manager stuff that was just a big meme, in the end. And so, yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with them. But yeah, just one more time, these are the predictions that we've gone for. Jack has gone with the same Ipswich and Southampton. I've gone for the hipster choices, and Neil says Sheffield United and Ipswich. Let's move on to the playoffs, of course, and let's see what we've all got here. Actually, before I do that, let me just see what people are saying here. Championship is 90 plus all day. It's 90 plus points now. Also, actually, let's touch on it. Sorry, Anil. Ipswich, you guys have got Ipswich winning the league. They are apparently on the verge of signing a Mr. Hayden Hackney. Here's Jackie boy. Let's get him in. Hello, Jack.
Yeah.
What's going on,
Hello.
mate?
How are we?
Good, mate. Good. Yeah, I was just going to say, Neil, they've just signed, or they're about to sign Hayden Hackney from Middlesbrough. Talk to me a little bit quickly about that, because £20 million is a lot of money, but we do have a bit of data here to look at. What are your thoughts on this transfer for Ipswich?
So initially, I even put it in the BTG group chat. I was like, I think they're getting scammed. That's so much money for a championship player. Normally, if you're going for that amount of money, you'd be going to the Premier League. But then I looked at these stats and I was like, oh, holy crap. I mean, they're pretty good stats, guys, if you look at it, right? And what's good about it is it's all around the areas, right? So again, I was comparing him to sort of Sam Morsey, who he's not actually the replacement for Morsey. They've assigned a different player to be the replacement for Morsey. But these are great stats in terms of chance creation. And he's doing that at a team that wasn't in the playoffs last year, right? So that's really showing you how good he is. And I think the biggest difference is that I was thinking, well, at first I thought, is it just their version of Skip? Like, he's going to be like decent in the Championship maybe, but he's not going to do it in the Premier League. But if you have a look at him, he's pretty physical as a guy. He's much stronger. Whether or not he can do it in the Premier League or not, I don't know, but he can definitely do it in the Championship. So I just think, look at how good they were the last time we were in the Championship with them. And if they've got an upgraded midfield compared to then, and an upgraded squad in general, then, I haven't gone for him for player of the season, but if he actually goes to Ipswich, I think he's got to be a contender. But I will say that what I've heard is that it's not guaranteed that he will leave Middlesbrough, because maybe he only wants to leave if he can go to the Premier League.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is the most expensive. It would be the most expensive signing in Championship history by a Championship club.
Wow.
So their star signing is a £20 million midfielder. Ours is free Asmir Begovic. So there you go. I was going to say as well, because he is at Championship level, right up there. And you look at Southampton, they're kind of a lot of Southampton fans I've spoken to are quite excited about Flynn Downs for them in midfield this season. Ipswich, the other relegated team, will have Hayden Hackney, and we'll have Oliver Skip. So there we go. The three midfielders. Anyway, before we move on to the playoffs, Jack, I'll give you a chance, mate, to just talk about here. So you also went with Ipswich and Southampton, mate. Go on, talk to us, mate. Why do you think that?
I think Ipswich built an All-Stars Championship side when they went up. They've got Sammy Smodics, who's going to really fire them to the Championship title. I think they've still got Amari Hutchinson. The only thing I worry about Ipswich is the midfield. They've got rid of Luongo. They've got rid of Sam Morsey.
They're getting Hackney. That's why they're getting Hackney.
Calvin Phillips has gone back to Manchester City. They've got rid of quite a few midfielders. I think this is where Ipswich have really got a strength in the midfield, and I think they're doing that quite well. Is George Hurst the next Leo? I was going to call him Rory Delap then. Liam Delap. I don't think he's got really that quality, to be fair. I think Ipswich have got to have a lot more firepower with obviously Sammy Smodics. I think he's the main striking option for me. He was top scorer in the Championship last time he was in it, so I think he's one for me. But Southampton, they've got a good enough squad. I know they might have struggled in the Premier League last season, but I think they'll be up there this season. Flynn Downs, Tyler Diblin. I think Cameron Archer is going to be scoring goals for them. And I think they've got a good enough squad to get in the top two. But yeah, it all depends on what Leicester's going to do to see how Leicester chase Southampton down for that second spot. But I'm going to wait until the playoff talk until you've actually come to me on that one.
Yeah, that's crazy. 1.8 million people are watching a YouTube live of Victor Osimhen's plane traveling to Galatasaray. Ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Is that just the population of Istanbul or something watching that? You're on mute, Anil. On mute.
Maybe Nigeria too, to be fair.
Oh,
but yeah.
true.
I just tuned into a minute ago and it's literally just, one of those satellite graphs, the plane slowly moving. And that's it. And everyone's just getting so hyped for it. Sorry, I just find that amazing in football.
Oh, shit. It's like Galatasaray's. It's like Galatasaray's YouTube channel as well. That's mental.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Ramsdale's left Southampton, by the way. But I honestly, I don't think that's a big miss, to be honest with you. No offense. I don't think that's a big loss.
No, but it might mean that they can keep dibbling. That's the thing, right? Because right now, Ipswich have Amari Hutchinson, right? If he goes to Brentford, they're a weaker team, in my opinion. If they keep him, they're very strong. The same with us. If, like, by some miracle, no one takes Bilal El Khanous, you can add probably 5 or 10 points on that in total, right? It's the kind of way that it goes.
Maybe Leicester, Blue Tinted Glasses need to do a live stream following Connor Cody's car to Wrexham. We get hundreds of thousands of views, maybe not a million. Right, we're going to move on to the playoffs now, guys. So let's go over there. So this is what we've all gone with. So I've gone with Leicester 3rd, Southampton 4th, Norwich 5th, Birmingham 6th. Anil's gone Sheffield United in 3rd, Leicester 4th, Birmingham 5th, and Norwich 6th. Jack's gone for Leicester, Coventry, Sheffield United, and Birmingham. And Ethan's gone for Leicester, Norwich, Coventry, and Birmingham. So we've all got Leicester in the playoffs. We've all got Birmingham in the playoffs. And we've all, other than Jack, got Norwich in the playoffs. So let me, you know what? I'm going to go to Ethan first. And I told him earlier I was going to come to him about something. So I'm going to come to him on this. Now, it is easy to actually forget teams sometimes when you're doing these tables. So I want to ask you, Ethan, did you forget Sheffield United or did you mean to leave them out of the playoffs?
No. I meant to leave them out. I think them sacking Chris Wilder, for me, it just doesn't make sense. 90 points, it's not a failure of a season, right? I don't think Sheffield United have much success in recent times without Chris Wilder. So I feel like they're going to really struggle this season. I think a lot of the players are, really close with Wilder. So it's a bit of a shame and all that. Plus, losing in the playoff final is a big knock to your, your mental state. How are you going to fight back the next season? Obviously, we saw Leeds do it, but they kept their manager, right? Daniel Farke, he went on record saying, after the final, there was a party plan and everything. It still went through, so he really took care of his players, right? But they sacked Chris Wilder and he's not there. The players, they just lost the playoff final. So I think they're going to have a little bit of a fall off this season.
Now, Anil, so I've gone Leicester 3rd. Southampton 4th is probably the one that some people will look at and go, oh yeah, as low as 4th. I think he will be a very good manager. I just think it's going to take time. A bit like even last season for Southampton in the Championship season, with Russell Martin, there were ups and downs. It wasn't all smooth sailing. They did go on an incredible run, but they were just a little bit too inconsistent. And, I still think Leicester have a better squad than Southampton, which is why, if there were no points deduction, I would have us in the top 2. But because of the deduction that we're all expecting. I've got Leicester in third, Southampton just below us, and then Norwich and Birmingham. I think I've been impressed with what Norwich are doing. I love the Chris Gordon signing, as people know from the scouting report. And Birmingham, I just don't think. I mean, some people are saying second place. I don't see it personally. They've done some good business. They've made their squad championship quality, in my opinion, but I don't think they've made it title winning quality in the championship. But let me come to you, Anil. You've got Sheffield United, Leicester, Birmingham, and Norwich. Talk to me about one or two of them.
Yeah, so reason I've gone for the Blaze above Leicester is not because I think that they're a better team than us, but I just think it's the deduction, and we might be like 2 points behind them come the end. It's like if you took the deduction away, we might even be automatically promoted, but we're not, right? So it's kind of Leicester's in a bit of a false position there. As for the rest of the teams, firstly, do you know what I was going to say? It's surprising how boring we are, to be honest with you. I was expecting some hipster's choice, like, a Wrexham in there, or, Stoke have got, what's his name? The old Coventry manager there. What's his name? Mark, forget him. The one who was ex-Man United. Mark Robbins, exactly. I'm not. Well, it'd be a bit of a miracle if they got there, but normally with the playoffs, it does throw up a surprise. Remember that Bristol City got into the playoffs last season, and no one predicted that, so it is kind of possible. But if you look at the rest of the team, so I think Norwich is actually a very interesting one because on paper they're going to be losing. Well, they've already lost Borja Sainz, right? He's gone to Porto. He was one of the top scorers last season, and it looks like Sargent is off to Germany, although that deal has collapsed at the moment. But they have signed Quistgarden. They have brought in as a manager, haven't they? Liam Manning, is that the one who's gone over there? Or is it so they got an exciting manager, did well for them last year. And it's not just that. If you look at the rest of their transfers as well, I actually thought the last time we were in the championship that they underperformed massively. I think even last year they underperformed. If you look at their squad and the goals in it, they should be doing better. So that's why I think that they, as people have been saying, why not go for Coventry? But I agree with Buzz. I think Norwich will get over Coventry for me. Although I would say that, Coventry's probably still on paper do have a better squad. But, maybe I think that they've got the better manager there over Lampard. We'll have to see. But yeah, I've been impressed by Norwich. But I do think they're one of those that it could flatter to deceive. And it could be like 10 games in, they're like bottom 4 or something like that. And, that's something that everyone got wrong. But I'll let someone else talk about that. That's an interesting one. But I thought I'd touch on them. And yeah, Leicester, I know, depends again on the deduction. If we really get the ball rolling, we could do well. But there's a little bit of an unknown, right? I think after 10 games, we'll have a better idea of where we're going to finish this season, I think.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Jack, let me ask you, mate. You've got Coventry. So you and Ethan have both got Coventry. But talk to me, mate. Why have you got Coventry up there in 4th?
Well, I've got them as 5th. I don't know how I'll put it in a WhatsApp message.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go for yeah.
No,
maybe it might have been me.
I think to be fair, Coventry's always there, aren't they? Every season, they're always they start off badly and then somehow worm their way into the playoffs. They're very suspicious when it comes to this type of thing. They think people think, Coventry's in trouble here, and then all of a sudden they're right in the playoff mix. And this is what I think will happen to them this season again. Sheffield United 4th is ideal. I don't think you can put them any higher than like 3rd. Birmingham, they've made some great signings out there, I'll be honest. They've probably had the best window so far. They're showing ambition. They're building the foundations well at Birmingham City at the minute under the ownership and that. And Chris Davis is getting the backing. But can Birmingham go and play the same way they did in League One, or will they have to change things up? And could that fall flat on the face is a thing? Because Birmingham, I think they could do an Ipswich this season, Locks, to be fair, where Ipswich came up unexpected. There was my dark horses to finish in the playoffs. They ended up getting 2nd and coming up to the Premier League with Leicester. So this is where I think Birmingham's head's at this season. They want to be as ambitious as possible, and I think they potentially sort of cement their way into the playoffs. So yeah, I think they'll do like an Ipswich, what they did.
Well, yeah, super frank for Coventry. Yeah, I mean, Ethan. With Birmingham, just touching on Birmingham. I mean, like I said, in my opinion, they've built a playoff level team. To be honest, that's my opinion. But one thing that you need to factor in is the good feel factor at the club right now. Like, they are super positive. They've got big investors. They've got plans for either building a new stadium or expanding it, redeveloping the area. and it's not just normal investors, right? It's Tom fucking Brady. Now, you might not like American football, you might not give a shit about Tom Brady, but it's sports people, right, who have achieved the very best in their sport, and they will want to do the same with Birmingham. He's just a winner, and he'll want to win with Birmingham. So I think that is actually a really important factor, Ethan, with Birmingham.
Yeah, we might not like the Americans and their takes on football, but the one thing about American culture is they really like money and they like winning. So it's two very important parts of football, and yeah, they're in a really good place, Birmingham. I think they're going to take that really, positive momentum that they got from winning League One so emphatically, and they're going to use it to start the season very well. I wouldn't be surprised if by, say, game week 6, 7, they're actually on top. I think as the season goes on, maybe they don't have the squad depth to compete with the likes of the relegated teams and maybe Sheffield United. But no, Birmingham really positive club at the moment. And it's important, like I said, continuity, right? You want to stick with the same guy that's getting you results. You want to stick with the same way. I think the way that Ipswich won League One and then played in the Championship is not too dissimilar from how Birmingham will go about things. So I think they'll do really well this season.
I was going to say as well, what an opening game, by the way, though. Is it Friday? Is it a week on Friday, I think?
Yeah.
Next Friday.
Yeah, we
Birmingham versus Ipswich. I'll tell you what, a BTG exclusive here. I'm going to do a watch along. Yeah, I'm going to do a watch along for Birmingham Ipswich because opening game of the season, I think that'll be a good one to do a watch along for. Jack, by the way, mate, we have already brought up the relegation ones when you weren't here, so I've got you down for Oxford, Charlton, and Wednesday. Is that right? That's what you put, isn't it?
Yeah, I forgot to edit them. Sorry. I forgot
to
put ones through, but yeah, I'll talk through.
It's locked in now, mate. You can't change it in a year's time. No, who would you just quickly say them? Who would you have had?
I'll tell you what, I've got my table up. So I've got Sheffield Wednesday, Hull City, and Preston North End.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so we have got somebody who went for Hull. So there we go. Right, let me
a fellow Preston Down player as well, might I add as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Anil went for Preston as well. Yeah. Right, quickly, each of us. I want you to just say who is going up out of the teams you've got in the playoffs. Who's going up? I'm going to say in a one-off game, Leicester City, of course, going up through the playoffs. Anil, who are you going with, mate?
Leicester City.
You've got the glasses on. There you go. There's the glasses. Jack, who's going up out of yours, mate?
For all the playoff heartbreak I've been through with Leicester, I think it's about time we have a bit of a positive in it. So I'm going Leicester.
Okay. What about you, Ethan? Are you going for a full house?
Yeah, the Leicester to go up. I do say we'll play Coventry in the playoff final.
Oh, no, I can't. No. I don't want that.
Just on it though, Locks. Obviously, we're saying it with the blue tinted glasses on, but even if you take them off, the reality is we would be favourites because we'd have to squad value the highest amount. Unless it somehow ended up being Leicester versus Ipswich or maybe Leicester versus Southampton. We're probably going to be going into that with like a squad that's worth 50 million or 100 million more than the next team. So on paper, you should be winning it because you're going to have experienced players that used to being there. Doesn't always go through that way. We saw that with Sheffield United last season, but Sheffield United, if you look at that match was insane. They were pissing it. They were absolutely walking it. And then, then they do it. That is what I think it might well be. And that'll be a good match. But again, if it's best of one, it's always a lottery. That's the problem, right? What if you give away a penalty early? Someone gets sent off. Do you remember that time Arsenal got to the Champions League final and Jens Lehmann got sent off after 13 minutes or something like that? And they'd blatantly won that game if he hadn't done that. What a mad decision. But with two legs, again, if you got a better squad, I mean, you could still get dumped out, but you'd be surprised if it happened, wouldn't you?
Yeah, totally. I mean, and everyone knows winning the playoff final is the best way to go up anyway, right?
It actually is. It actually is. Yeah.
Our bozo genes will kick in. I don't want playoffs. Yeah. Oliver Skip with a hospital pass and in behind goal. Yeah, totally. Okay, the next category that I've asked everybody to pick, this is a good one, a fun one. Top goal scorer in the Championship. And this is where I'm going to come to Ethan first again. with a crazy take. But before we do it, I'll bring them all up. So I've gone with Cameron Archer. Anil's gone with Jay Stansfield. Jack's gone with Sammy Smodics. And Ethan's gone with George Hurst. Ethan, mate, go on, take us away. Why have you gone for George Hurst?
Okay. Besides the fact that he's ex-Leicester, I went with Ipswich to win the league, right? So I think it would make sense, first of all, that Ipswich would have the top goal scorer. They don't really have so much goal spread. I think a lot of it is going to come down to Sammy Smodics and George Hurst. He's the natural replacement to Delap. I know he didn't really feature that much in the Premier League, but he's done it for Ipswich in the Championship. And I feel like Sammy Smodics, right? He's not going to be playing so high up. He's going to drop into midfield, try link up the play, and I can just see George Hurst getting on the end of more goals.
Yeah, you say that, Anil, but just wait. Anyway, that's what I'll say. Spoiler. Anil, actually, let me just quickly say. So the reason I've gone for Cameron Archer is it's a bit maybe slightly a hipster's choice. I'm not sure whether you can class it as a hipster choice, but I just think I've got Southampton in fourth, but remember that's where they finished last time they were in the Championship, and they had the top goal scorer then as well, Adam Armstrong, along with Sammy Smodics. Last time so in 22-23, so 2 years ago now, 3 years ago, obviously he was at Middlesbrough, scored 11 goals in 20 games, which I think is a nice, a more than good return. 11 goals in 20 games for a team that weren't fighting for the title or anything like that. I also feel like he needs to settle, because he's been here, there, and everywhere, really. I mean, he was at Villa. He started at Villa as a kid. He was on loan to a couple Championship teams, Preston, Middlesbrough, then went to Sheffield United for a year, only scored 4 goals, but I think that was Sheffield United in the Premier League. And then at Southampton, didn't score many goals at all last season. I think only 2. But I think now it is time for him to be settled, and I think he's gonna have one of these seasons. He's never scored loads and loads and loads of goals in one season, but neither did Sammy Smodics before 2 years ago. All you need is that one season to settle down and break through, and I think that's what Cameron Archer is going to do this year. Also, I did look at the odds table, and I could not believe it. I looked at the odds table after I'd already decided Cameron Archer. Can you believe this, lads? Cameron Archer is the favourite to be top goal scorer, which I think is ridiculous. He's 8-1. The favourite is 8-1, which shows there is no clear-cut one. It's not like Vardy's in the division, right? If Vardy was in the division, I think he'd be top. It's not, you know what I mean? So I was surprised to see that he was the favourite. Anil, give me a talk through your pick, mate. You've gone with Jay Stansfield.
Yeah, well, just quickly, I'll just touch on Cameron Archer. One thing you didn't mention as well is I think the new manager will help him. I wouldn't think he'd be top scorer if Chris Wilder was in charge, because they're not that sort of team. But if they're going to play more expansive football, you're right, that might suit him. But yeah, coming to my pick, Jay Stansfield, I sort of disagree with Ethan a little bit, which is that I think that actually the team that goes up doesn't always have the top scorer. It has been a few times, but last year it was Joel Piroe, but he only got 19. But when we went up, Jamie Vardy wasn't a top scorer. It was Sammy Smodics, and Blackburn almost got relegated. So I think what tends to happen is actually the top teams, they spread the goals out between multiple players, but the top scorer normally goes with a team where they are the talisman, and it's that guy who's taken them really far up the table. And that's what I think Birmingham are going to get into the playoffs, and I think they're going to get into the playoffs because of him. I think he's going to be like a good signing for them and score a lot of goals. He was on the books for Fulham, and him going to League One was like an outrageous signing. They bought him for £15 million in League One. That's insane. That's a big transfer, even in the Championship, if they made it. So he is a really good player. I think he used to be in England under 20. I think he actually went to the England under 20s World Cup that they won, didn't they? So he's a top player. I think he will do well. And I think he will be the top scorer individually, but I don't necessarily think they'll get the most goals. But like I said, I think the way that they play, they will look for him a lot, and I think he will provide. So that's my logic in the thinking there.
By the way, with me picking Sheffield United as my title winner, I was tempted to go with Tom Cannon, but I couldn't do it for myself. I was like, I can't see that happen. Please, no. Yeah, that's a good point as well, Kyogo.
Good comment, because yes, Birmingham also signed Furuhashi, who Luke is absolutely raving about, and he is a good player. And it'll be interesting to see if they play both of them, if they play one off the other. I've got a feeling they might use Furuhashi more slightly on the wing, who's providing for Stansfield. But he's a good pick as well. Like I think he won it a few times for Celtic up north. So, I'm surprised he's not on anyone's list. He could also get it.
I can confirm, by the way, that all of us have first, second, third, and fifth in the odds for our picks. So just to confirm, Archer's first, Stansfield is second favourite, then it's George Hurst, third favourite, and then Sammy Smodics is fifth favourite. So talk us through Sammy Smodics, Jack. I mean, it's probably the smartest choice if you look at 2 years ago, the number of goals he scored. But yeah, go on, mate.
Proven championship goal scorer. I think if he plays consistently for Ipswich next season, they've got a very good player on their hands who know where the goals are going to come from. And I think this is what Ipswich need after Liam Delap left the club, someone who knows where the goal is, and he's definitely that. It was hard for me to actually look at. I was thinking if Josh Sargent stays at Norwich, then I think he's going to be pivotal again. Another top striker in the Championship who can do bits. So I know Jordan Ayew's at 16-1. I was sort of relishing with that one. I'm thinking if Uncle Ayew can do the business, then fantastic. But when I see Patson Daka at 22-1, I thought, man, I'll scroll down anymore. So, Sammy Smodics, proven Championship striker. And last time he were in the Championship, he got the golden boot. So, very good player.
Yeah, absolutely. Daka's 22-1, by the way. So there you go. Ayew 16-1. Whereas I think 2 years ago, Vardy was at the top at like 2-1 or something, or 3-1 to be top scorer. Okay. So one more time there. There is the top scorer. So Archer, Stansfield, Smodics, and George Hurst. So there we go. Let me see what a couple of people in the chat have said. Daniel O'Connor says, my hipster's choice is Ivanovic at Millwall. Joe Wright says, the actual lack of quality in number 9s in the Championship is actually shocking. So there's a few different shouts. Obviously, Frankie said Tom Cannon. Josh Brownhill, if he drops to the Championship and he's in an attacking role, then... Well, you've seen it, right? 18 goals last season, which is nuts. Maybe he ends up at Leicester. Who knows? Okay.
Hadji Wright, he must be up there for Coventry.
Hadji Wright is he's like 10th favourite at like 16-1. Yeah, maybe even a bit higher.
That sounds about fair. Like I wouldn't say he's a favourite, but I if it happened, would I be that surprised? I wouldn't be that surprised if he got it.
Also, Adam Armstrong as well. He's the fourth favourite. So, as he always is, he's just one of them players who just better, too good for the Championship, not good enough for the Premier League. He's the epitome of that. Right, we're going to move on to Player of the Season. Now, this is League Player of the Season, not Leicester Player of the Season. We are doing a Leicester Player of the Season at the end of the year. Am I reading this right? I am. Crazy. Anyway, let's bring it up. So, I've gone with Gus Hamer. Anil has gone with Abdul Fatawu. Jack has also gone with Gus Hamer. And Ethan is just going all in on the George Hurst stocks right now.
He might as well buy a George Hurst shirt.
Listen. I think he's going to do really well, okay?
You're not convinced.
This is crazy. You know what? The last thing I thought that would be happening tonight is a George Hurst love
glazing session.
But the reason I've gone with Gus, I'll let Jack comment as well. I mean, the reason I've gone with Gus Hamer is I'm surprised that Sheffield United have kept hold of him. He could still leave him, and you literally saw him start the first game for Coventry 2 years ago, and then he ended up leaving. It could happen again. I would have absolutely loved Gus Hamer at Leicester City. I think it's perfect place, perfect spot for him in Leicester's midfield. However, if they do keep hold of Gus Hamer, then I think why not? I think they'll do even better this year than they did last year. I've got them in first. I think he'll win Player of the Season. I think he's super important for them. Jack, I'm guessing similar reasons that you've gone for Gus Hamer, mate. He won Player of the Season this year. He might do it again in second.
Yeah, that guy is what Sheffield United is pinnacle for, isn't it? He does everything on the pitch well in that midfield. He provides the goals, assists, and like I said, he pulls the strings for Sheffield United. He's their best player, to be honest. And I don't know. I was sort of looking at all different players, to be fair, but I thought if I look at Leicester's player of the year, I don't know. Because you look at Jack Clarke, who's been mentioned, very good for Sunderland last time in the Championship. I just think he's a Championship player, to be fair, Jack Clarke. I won't be surprised how well he does this year. But yeah, Gus Harmer is good. He did well at Coventry, did well at Sheffield United. I think it'll be another big season from him. And then when Gus Harmer come off in the playoff final, they went missing, didn't they, quick? So yeah, it proves how much of a pivotal player he is for them.
Anil, a very, very good shout. Abdul Fatawu, mate. Talk me through this one.
Yeah, I've just sent you something on WhatsApp. We can talk about that in a minute as well. I just want to pour some cold water on your Gus Harmer loving. But yeah, for me, like the best player in the division, if you take injuries out of it, has got to be Fatawu. Although Manny had a little shout there that I think we should talk about. I think Leif Davis that's another one that I had on my list as well. But I think that Fatawu is on his day the best player. I think he was an argument for him being the best player last time we went up. Obviously, they gave it Dewsbury Hall and they gave it Somerville. But I think if Fatawu would have won it, he was one of the best players. Now, we don't know how he's going to be based on his injuries. But yesterday, me and Duck were looking at the match and I don't really notice any much of a difference. He's taking the ball down first time. He's beating his man 2 or 3 times. He's got the pace. He's got the skill. And I think he's got something to prove as well, especially that he missed all of last season. So it's just really down to fitness. You can never say that a player is going to be the same after an ACL. So that I think is fair enough and probably why people haven't gone for him. But if he has a smooth season, it's very hard to think of a better player in the division than him, other than maybe the one that Manny brought up. Because to be fair to Manny, if you were looking at pre-season, let me just ask you now, who's been Leicester's best player in pre-season?
Jerry Munger.
Yeah.
Jezza.
It's not even close. It's insane how good he's been. So I know he might come up with another award, but if he, look at Lamine Yamal, he might end up winning a Ballon d'Or despite, only just now turning 18. It's not impossible. I think we still haven't, even seen him score a goal for Leicester officially in the first team, right? So it's a bit of a jump to say it. But if he did just completely blow up and he really is the next big thing in football, you never know, because what could happen?
I would be fair, when I was thinking about player of the season with Leicester players.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Ethan, is it just a copy and paste for George Hurst? Everything you said earlier, same again now?
Yeah, listen, if I go for Ipswich winning the league, right? Most of the top players are going to be in Ipswich, right? And I've gone on basically Hurst to be top scorer. So my thinking, right, for everyone in the chat, okay, he's not my cousin. But my thinking is he does really well, scores like 20 something goals. He's entering his prime now. I think he's 26, turning 27. So it's perfect time for him to really come into his own. I think this is his breakout season. And yeah, I think he scores over 20, and then people just have attacking bias, so they'll vote him player of the season.
I mean, mine and Jack's pick, Gus Hamer. Let's look at something here, which is comparing him and Neil to Ipswich's rumoured new signing, Hayden Hackney. And you've got to say, Neil, Hayden Hackney, if he did go to Ipswich, I mean, he's going to be right up there for shouts for player of the season, probably.
Well, that's what it looks like. You can see why they're willing to spend the money, and you can see that's exactly how they'd have done it. They looked at the dates and they've gone, Jesus Christ, look at these stats. This is exactly what we want out of a midfielder. They probably would have looked at Gustavo Harmer, but you're not going to be able to sign him because Sheffield United aren't going to sell him to another team in the Championship. Hayden Hackney might. So there's a shout. I mean, people have also mentioned their, Leif Davies also, which I think is worth a shout. I mean, to be fair to Ethan, he is having an absolute glazing session over George Hurst, but I would say that he was really good the last time we were in the Championship, and he got injured for, 3 or 4 months of the season? Yeah. And I think all the Ipswich, their run of form declined with him going out of the team, and when he came back in, he immediately started picking up again. So there's something to be said that clearly McKenna trusts him, and he can definitely do the job. So it's not, that outlandish, but maybe we should go for some more wild card ones. Who else do you think could end up being, player of the season?
Well, let's talk about. Yeah. Actually, no, I'm not going to talk about Manny's one because trust me, there's going to be a lot of talking about him shortly. All right. So, but let me see if there are any names that anybody's put in here other than the joking Patson Daka ones. Somebody said, I mean, Christian Eriksen, if he went to Wrexham, I mean, Christian Eriksen at championship level would be ridiculous, I think, in this division, that's for sure. A few people are saying Leif Davis, Jack Clark. Does anybody have any outlandish ones? Ben Nelson, maybe somebody said. He's a player that might come up in this video towards the end. Any crazy names you want to throw into the mix, mate, who could be up there?
If we sign Josh Brownhill, there's summer transfer window. I'm pretty
Yeah, you could be right on that one.
Yeah.
Damari Gray, anybody?
Nah, I don't see
Stansfield over the Gray. Stansfield over Gray.
Or Kyogo, someone put there for Birmingham. I could see that happening.
This one, by the way, he's really highly rated. He's gone to Watford. Fast twitch, Australian. And you know what? I was playing Football Manager earlier and I was like just scouting and stuff. And it was like in 2028. And this guy was scoring goals for Bayern Munich.
Yeah, won the kid in that one, but it didn't work out for him. That could be. I mean, they've got a good record, to be fair to them. You've got to say Watford, like João Pedro, they've done it a few times where they've unearthed a gem. And it was like right in front of everyone's faces, but they're the ones that managed to get it happening. You never know.
Right, Manny, you have your wish because we are now moving on to the young player of the season. And in absolutely no surprise whatsoever, Jeremy Mongo, and Jeremy Mongo. Now, the reason why I think he will not be anywhere near this one, the player of the season, is just because I don't think he will play enough games compared to the others. I think when Mongo does play, he will be quality, just like we've seen in pre-season. I think he'll play about 20 to 25 games this season, personally. Although I do keep saying, if he's as good in the championship as he was in pre-season, it's going to be so difficult for Marty because he's going to have on one hand, this guy's our best player, and on the other hand, we need to look after this guy. He's getting kicked. He's getting kicked every week, so it will be interesting to see how that plays out. But a nil, it's not really a surprise, is it, mate? We're seeing a full sweep for Mongo because we know how good he is.
Well, we've seen it. Well, it's funny. We kept saying it. We were talking about with Duck yesterday how in the Premier League, he looks okay. But I think it was fair when people were saying, oh, you guys are glazing him so badly. But we were like, for a 15-year-old to look that good in the Premier League is already kind of crazy, right? That we just imagine what he's going to be when he gets a bit older. But we've seen it in pre-season. Every single team he's playing against, he's taking a piss. You've made that video of him being a Galactico, but it's true. It is all these fullbacks, and there's instances in the analysis we showed yesterday where Cohen had 4 people on him at one point, and he still wriggled free and got a pass away. So he's crazy. I think you're right to say that he is going to get fouled. Probably someone's going to blow up and end up getting red carded for trying to take him down. But this is a special guy. And, of course, Blue Tinted Glass is one of our players, but you do sometimes see it with other players as well, don't you? And he just looks absolutely ridiculous. So the only thing that I can really see him stopping is the injuries. But if it's not for the injuries, he's going to explode, man. He just looks, it's insane what we're seeing. He's got everything.
Yeah. Ethan, anything to add there, mate? Jerry Mongo. I mean, he's just incredible. I mean, everyone I speak to who isn't a Leicester fan about Jeremy Mongo, because you have it right, lads. Like in football, you hype someone up and you're like, yeah, all right, yeah, okay. To your mates, whatever. You'll say, this guy, he's the next best thing in football. He's going to win the Ballon d'Or one day and all this and that. Yeah, all right. But Jerry Mongo, Ethan, is just, he's different. He is different.
Yeah, I only didn't suggest him for player of the season just because I think his output isn't. I just seen that. I only put him for young player, not player of the season, just purely because of his output, right? So I think he'll be by far and clear. The dribbles, the flair, the skills, the football IQ, the passing, everything is there, but I don't think he'll get as many goals and assists. And as Anil said, he might not play, more than 30 games. So he's there for young player of the season. I think for the next 3 seasons, he'll be young player of the season wherever he goes. So yeah, he's just that good.
I've asked ChatGPT Anil this question, and it's only given me the Premier League ones, which it's listed Haaland, Ronaldo, and Bale, apparently.
Okay. Good list.
Yeah. Although, actually, no, that's not right because Bale didn't win. No, Kyle Walker won the other one. I'm pretty sure it was Bale and Kyle Walker that year. But anyway, so somebody, if you know, let us know. But Jack, Jeremy Monga, I mean, Michael says here, just need to watch the tape with Monga. Different level of skill, intelligence on the ball. Got to keep how good Monga is quiet if possible. It's going to all be unveiled to the watching eye in a couple of weeks, mate. And there's one more comment here to say, Mike, Monga, just stay healthy. Obviously, just stay fit if you can. But Jack, talk to me about Jeremy Monga, mate. Young player of the season.
This guy's unreal. This were an easy one for me. And I struggled a bit with different players, but I kept editing it here and there. But this guy is just sensational. He's a very much future star, and he's going to be at a big club one day. I'll be honest. I do think he probably will go on to play.
Already is, mate.
He wants to play for Real Madrid, no problem.
Real
I'm
Madrid?
not picking him up as of yet, but he will be there. Just an incredible talent. You know, it's one that Leicester's got to keep developing. He's going to get better and better. Like Manny says, when he's like 18 or something, he's going to be even better and better. He's going to be bigger. He's going to be stronger. And this is what we've got to do with him. We've got to look after him this season. Just let him go and do his thing. That guy takes on 3-4 players in pre-season like it's nothing. He's got a young head on older shoulders, in my opinion. Looks like he's been around the game for a very long time. And how many players can we really say with that talent in the last few seasons at other clubs as well as Leicester?
Yeah. And just to be clear, everybody, this was, again, league young player of the season. We've all gone for Monga. We've not done a category for Leicester young player of the season.
Is there a case for Tyler Dibling?
Yeah, definitely. And I think even, I mean, Ant put something in the comment section. Ant reckons that if Bilal stayed, Bilal could win both young player of the season and player of the season. I mean, you could see it happening if he stayed. Like, to answer your question, Anil, about when was the last time that happened. I mean, it could happen if Bilal stayed, because I think he would rip it apart, man, in this division.
I was thinking the same thing.
Abdul could do it, man. He's 21 or 20 now. You know what I mean? So he could do it. Yeah, there you go. Frankie said, I think it's up to 23 now, by the way, young player of the season. So there's a lot of players who fit that. Okay, so I did ask the guys for one last question. Who is going to be Leicester City's player of the season? Now, the shouts are good. The shouts are good, other than one. And I'm sorry, hands up. But LCFC player of the season, let us know in the comment section. I've gone for Uncle Ayew. I've gone for Jordan Ayew, Leicester's player of the season. Anil has gone for Jeremy Monga. Jack's gone for Abdul Fatawu. And Ethan has gone for Ben Nelson. Now, I actually don't think, Anil, Jordan Ayew is the worst of shouts. I think that could happen. I mean, don't forget, guys, he's the top goal scorer in pre-season.
In there.
Yeah, well, I'm never going to do that.
I don't think it's that crazy either. If he ends up being like he scores 20 or 25 goals, that player does normally win it. So it's not that impossible. And yeah, he's getting absolute pelters. But when you see the way that he's been playing in pre-season, like he's dragging all the defenders out with him. He's playing the false nine position really well. And he is going to score goals in this division. So I don't think it's that crazy a shout. You do often get it that the player who wins it isn't sort of the player that everyone absolutely expected. Yeah, that's true with the Ethan Nurse. He said, George Nurse, Ethan Nurse sort of thing. So I don't think it's impossible, but I think the issue with Jordan Ayew is just because for him to score a lot of goals, what's going to end up happening is he's going to get a lot of service. So that implies that the players who give him the service are always going to be high up there in terms of their ability. So it's almost as if he could score 25 goals and he still doesn't win player of the season, Leicester's player of the season, because who gave him those assists. And, you know, actually just coming on to me, so I chose Abdul Fatawu for being the league player of the season, but I didn't have him for Leicester's player of the season. So the reason I think that is I think at the end of this season, this club has to do anything they possibly can to get Jeremy Monga to stay. If it means renaming the stadium to the Jeremy Monga Stadium, done. Does it mean giving him the player of the season, the young player of the season, renaming Seagrave to Monga Grave, whatever. retire the number. Mavadini, so we love you, Steffi, but that 10's going to Monga. It doesn't matter, right? That's the impact. Even
I agree. Give
even
Monga
if
the number
somehow
10.
he's not actually the best player. Let's say like Monga only gets 7 goals and 7 assists, and actually Fatawu gets 15 goals and 10 assists, and Jordan Ayew gets 18 goals, whatever like that. Even though on paper Ayew and Fatawu would be better, you still have to give it to Monga because you have to keep him, because that's insane for a 17-year-old to be a 16-year-old to be getting those stats. So that's why I think they have done it before as well, right? Like I think they have given it sometimes. You can like look at Jamie Vardy won Player of the Season last year. Now he wasn't the Player of the Season, but to be fair, it was outrageous that he'd never won it before. So they're just giving it to him because he deserved it, kind of thing. So that's my logic there. Although it wouldn't actually surprise me, as I said before, if just Monga was that ridiculous that he did end up being the Player of the Season. But I think that's still a few years away, but I could see it happening.
Yeah. Go on, Ethan. Talk me through your pick, mate. Ben Nelson. I think it's a good shout. You know, we're bigging him up as the player who should start at the back, and if he has a solid season, he'll be right up there for Player of the Season, mate.
Yeah, listen, I think we just have a bunch of bozos at the back at the moment, right? And it's quite refreshing to see someone of Ben Nelson's, stature, his composure that he brings to that back line, and his physical and technical ability, So I think he's going to be very important to us actually keeping, clean sheets, keeping us in games. And I think that, maybe by the end, this time next year, we'll be saying that he should be captain for Leicester, right? Because I think he is he's cut of that cloth. I think this is his proper breakout season. So I think similar to what you said about, giving Monga the Player of the Season, right? I think you also have to give it to Ben Nelson because, there's other clubs that are also sniffing around him.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's gonna be refreshing to see Ben Nelson at the back over Wout Faes or Yannick Vestergaard for sure. Jack, you've gone with Abdul Fatawu, mate. Talk me through that one. I mean, probably what Anil was saying earlier. He's technically he's just so gifted. He's so quick. He's explosive. He's going to be exciting to watch this season.
Yeah, he tore the championship up last time like it was nothing. Him and Mavadini had a great partnership last time on either side of the wings for Leicester. He's a pivotal part to how we want to play and fits the system very well. People worried about how would he come back, but he did. In pre-season, you think, Jesus, he's still doing what he did before he got injured, and you don't get that many players, but I think it'll be a big season for him again this season. And obviously that's going to up his transfer fee as well, innit? And I think he's got a high ceiling, still young, still developing. And yeah, that's why I've gone for Abdul Fatawu, because I think he's going to have another cracking season at Leicestershire. And I ain't really worried, to be fair, to be honest. I think he'll start first game of the season against Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, somebody's put Monga City FC, not to be mistaken with last season's name, Mong City FC, which I think we were. Fox Fanatics, they would not even be able to afford him with a 50% wage cut. There was another comment here as well saying, let me find it. Might as well just add Mong. Yeah, a shirt sponsor Jeremy Monga. Let's see what some people in the chat are saying about Leicester's Player of the Season this year. So LCFC Azza says Monga or Fatawu. David Smith says Big Yannick. If Bilal El-Kanu stays, it could be him. Yeah, I mean, again, I was doing these award predictions kind of off the basis that Bilal was going to leave, to be honest. Amanda says Fatawu. Blue Fox Forever is saying McAteer. It's an interesting shout. Ollie Skip says Joe Wright, and not a popular one, but who knows? He did win Norwich's Player of the Season 4 years ago in the Championship. As Anil said here as well, Esteve won Burnley's award last season as a centre-back, so it could well happen for Ben Nelson. Have Leicester had one recently? I think we had like we had Kante.
Harry Maguire won it when we were in the Premier League. When his first season, he won Player of the Season, and he had a really good year, and that's why Man United paid the big bucks. People forget Hoof got injured. He came in. He was that first season. He was amazing for Leicester.
Yeah, I'm just looking here because there used to be a website, and it doesn't look like you can anymore. Here we go. Yeah, player of the season. So I'll start at a reasonable year. So I'm going to start here in 2010. 2011. Richie Wellens, Casper Schmeichel, Wes Morgan, Danny Drinkwater, Esteban Cambiasso, Riyad Mahrez, Casper Schmeichel, Harry Maguire, Ricardo Pereira. Jamie Vardy did win it, apparently. He did win Player of the Season, allegedly, in 2020. Yuri Tielemans, 2021. James Maddison, 2022. Kelechi Iheanacho, 2023. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, 2024. And Jamie Vardy, 2025. So I'm not sure where the misconceptions come from, because they literally said it at the...
There's one that the fans
ceremony.
vote for, and then there's one that the club players vote for. That's the difference, I think. So it could be one or the other, but that's still a pretty solid list. Yeah.
100. Yeah, totally. So there we go. So who's going to be on that list next? Well, according to us, it's going to be one of imagine Jordan Ayew's name being added to that list. The likes of Cambiasso, Riyad Mahrez, Yuri Tielemans, Jordan Ayew.
I'd love to see it though. You say that, but we all love a redemption arc. It was quite hype seeing Vestergaard doing well in the championship 2 seasons ago. It's a shame it all went to pot, but I'm all for it. Give me the skip player of the season if he really is that good. Somehow starts banging them in,
Yeah. Jerry Munger, Abdul Fattah, and Ben Nelson. There we go. So that rounds off our predictions. So we will wait and see. I'll just go through them one more time. It will help me in a year's time when I come back to it. I'll just skip to this part of the video. So top 2, that's the top 2 that we've all predicted. Playoffs, you can pause it here if you're watching. They were the playoff predictions, and I think we all went for Leicester to get promoted from the playoffs. Relegated, we've gone for these, although Jack's are different. Jack's actually gone for Derby and Hull, I believe.
You mean
Preston and Hull. Preston, Hull, and
I
Sheffield
don't wear the
Wednesday.
same kit.
Yeah, my bad. Top scorer, that's what we've gone for. Archer, Stansfield, Smodics, Hurst. Fucking hell, George Hurst. George Hurst again in player of the season for Ethan, along with Gus Hamer and Abdul Fattah. Young player of the season, Monga. And player of the season, Leicester player of the season, Jordan Ayew, Jerry Munger, Fattah, and Ben Nelson. There we go. That rounds off our predictions. Like I said, we will come back to this at the end of the season and we will react. I'll make sure it's myself and Neil, Jack, and Ethan will go through and we will laugh when George Hurst is on 2 goals for the year. I will probably cry that Jerry Munger's just won player of the season, but he's going to Real Madrid. So, yeah.
That's it.
Thirsty for Hursty. Yeah, absolutely. Right, guys. Thanks to Anil. Thanks to Jack. Thanks to Ethan. If you've enjoyed the Munger chat, go to the channel videos. There's a nice picture of Jeremy Munger in the Santiago Bernabeu, so you can go and watch that one. We will be back. I don't know. Tomorrow, probably. Yeah, I'm going to do a video tomorrow at some point. So yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. Of course, we'll have the watch along on Sunday for the Fiorentina game. That'll be good. Yeah, cheers. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Massive thank you to today's sponsor, Match Bingo. Over 200 grand has been paid out to players so far by taking sports betting, football and bingo and combining them into one amazing app. Make sure to get your bingo card for any Leicester City game in the upcoming season. Click that link in the description or via the QR code on screen.